Hi, I am excited today because I have gotten some new DuPont dyes, DuPont Classique. My French is terrible, so I am not going to be trying to say any of couleur pour soleil et l'année. I know that means colors for silk and wool, but I cannot say that in French. I have been acquiring the DuPont dyes over time, in part because, and you can look this up yourself online, color theory has some holes in it. There's holes where our eyes can't actually see the colors, and there's holes where no matter how many reds and yellows you mix together, you're not going to get the exact orange you're looking for. No matter how many different blues and reds you mix together, you're not going to get the exact purple you look for. And why not, if there is a chromophore, a dye that is the purple you're looking for, why not just own that and not have to struggle with the missing colors in the spectrum you're trying to create. Now, of course, this one here is actually, hopefully, a shade of brown, Couvray 773. Let's see what else I got. Chamois, that sounds like a chamois. That sounds like a shade of brown. Prune, should be a purple, right? Prune purple. Vert Anglaise. I know enough French to know that vert is green and Anglaise is English, so this is a French take on English green. And last but not least, Rouge à Lèvres and red of the, I'll have to look that up, lipstick red maybe? At any rate, the first step that I take, which I'm not actually able to show you today because the bottles are coming in the mail tomorrow, but the first step that I take is I get a disposable pipette, but I don't like to waste valuable plastic like this, so I use a little sticker, little circular sticker, and so in this case I'll choose one that's kind of small, so Couvray 773, and I pop it onto the bulb of the disposable pipette. When I'm done, I will rinse the pipette, suck water into it a number of times to get any excess dye out of the pipette, and then I will put it away in a jar I have. And then the next time I need to make more Couvray in diluted form, I will use this pipette. I'm putting Scotch tape over the sticker because I've discovered that even though I'm using a Sharpie S-Gel pen to write the word, when I'm rinsing the dye out of the bulb, I can get the sticker pretty wet, and then I can't read what it says anymore. So now I have a dedicated pipette just for this particular sticker. I have in my handy little tray here a little container of solution, dilution solution, which also comes from DuPont. I put the recipe right on there, 5 mils. So this one pipette right here is 3 mils. So I do, it's got little mil markings on it. So I do 5 mils using this pipette of the pure dilution solution to 1/3 cup of distilled water. And right here in my tray, I have my couple of different kinds of salt. This is just a classic kosher salt. This is a salt that was actually blessed during a river ritual under a certain moon. So I use that when I'm looking for a unique effect. It is oh, I'm going to remember the name in a minute, but it comes from Europe, and it has like pyramid shapes in the salt. Then, of course, I just have a fountain pen sitting there. So then I'll use the dilution solution to make, well, first I'll use my dedicated pipette to make one whole little dropper bottle of the, a dropper bottle like this, of the pure dye out of the bottle. Because sometimes I want to make a dilution that is more than 50%. Less than 50%. So I would take maybe 1, 2, 3 drops of the 100% dye out of the 100% bottle, and then maybe only add 1 drop of the dilution solution, so that would be a 66% as opposed to 50%. But if I know I want to start with something 50% or less, then I'll actually make a bottle where I have half dilution solution and half the dye. Don't mix it up anything bigger than the little bottle here, because over time, not that the dilution solution isn't stable, but I certainly don't want to risk that there was any, I don't know, fungus or something that might be growing and cause problems later. So I have found over the course of time that it's easier just to start with smaller quantities and make up more as I need them. And of course, the reason I'm using the dedicated pipette is because I never, ever, ever want to risk getting even a single drop of another dye into this particular dye bottle. So, well, that isn't even the Couvray. This particular dye bottle, I don't want to get that rouge into this one. That is my little process. I actually really love this chemistry part of the art. I love playing around with what happens when I mix the different dyes together, what kind of interactions they have. In some cases, in many cases, this vert anglaise, it may not be a single dye. It may be a couple of dyes, a proprietary blend that they've come up with. And then depending on things like adding salt or alcohol or water or another dye, I can actually cause it to do things like split, so turn into the blue and the yellow that potentially were what made it. In other cases, it is in fact just a single molecule that is green, so then that interaction wouldn't happen, which is fine. But it's often really fun to play with the underlying chemistry of the dyes that I have. So in some cases, things that I'm painting are actually intended to let me play around with the dyes while still having a beautiful story that someone can relate to when I'm finished. So that's what I'm going to work on today, just making more of these pipettes for these 5 new dyes I've bought. I mean, you guys, look at this, right? So these are the dilutions that I have right now of my DuPont dyes. I have another whole basket with dilutions of the Jacquard Red Label. Obviously, I'm going to need a new basket because adding these 5 dyes, they won't all fit in the basket. But I think that it's worth it to be able to explore new color stories. So thank you for joining me today. And as I learned with my students in the past, super.